I think a lot of gender-based violence issues aren't talked about, and I think there are a great number of teachers, school directors, boys and girls in school who would like to stop it if it's brought out into the open. Obvious places to start are the real power relationships, so gender-based violence, which is teacher to student. A lot of countries, there's this issue about sex for grades. Kids who maybe get their tuition fees paid, or their siblings' tuition fees, or some support at home by being exploited by teachers. And another aspect of it, which is very straightforward, banned in many countries, but there's still a lot of countries where it's legal, is corporal punishment. Corporal punishment is a gender issue because there's still a lot of beliefs that boys need to be beaten and girls need to be scolded if they don't behave in a ladylike way. There's also a great deal of homophobic bullying, and I think that's a bit sensitive in that in countries where LGBTI is illegal, it's very difficult to get a government to engage at national policy level to deal with homophobic bullying. One thing is to look within the school environment, and at least if that's a microcosm of society, at least to start getting things right there, because there are rules and because there are systems that can be negotiated and can be changed in a way that's much harder to change things at home. Teachers don't use inclusive methodology. They're using these lecture-based, authoritarian-based, patriarchal approaches to teaching, even from the primary level, women and men. Whereas, that whole idea that you work in groups, that you use tasks which get you to use critical thinking, all these things that would lead kids to break down social norms and question stereotypical behaviour, could be put in at school in a completely non-confrontational way. Addressing school-related gender-based violence has to look at addressing the root causes of gender violence. And the whole idea of social norms which endorse what we'd call harmful masculinity. So to address those issues, I think what's really important is to get young men role models. There's lots of issues. One is to have an adult guide or support, a teacher or a guidance counsellor in school that girls can trust and that they can go to and that they can talk about those things. And then there's this whole kind of bystander training. So in any bullying situation, it works on people, on having an audience. So training kids how to not be passive, how to either intervene or to report. Gender-based violence should be seen through a human rights lens rather than a cultural relativism perspective. It's about the rights of children to have a safe and inclusive education. You can always find advocates within the culture. It doesn't have to be coming in from the outside who would agree with that perspective. The UN Women and the UNESCO, UNICEF approach to addressing gender-based violence, especially violence against women and girls, is it has to be at every level of society. So that you have to address it individually, individual empowerment, relationship and within the family, then at school and in your community, and then at the unequal gender institutional level, which the school is part of and community is part of, but that means at the judiciary and political levels.